But today we're going to talk about what is important to know about the agent that you want to sell your home. Stick around. We will be right back and let you know. And yes, I'm probably going to do more talking because on our team, that's my primary role.
Yeah. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. So if you enjoy our content, don't forget, click like, subscribe, and turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any future content.
And all right, what's the next thing though that people should look for? Like the last section of what they should look for.
Past client reviews.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the next section is basically reviews and success stories.
Were your past clients happy with the service?
What are their reviews on Google and that? Now, I don't have hardly any reviews on Zillow, and that's because I don't use Zillow as far as like any kind of marketing. So I don't have reviews there. Google's actually the best place to drop a review for your clients. And the reason for that is because on Zillow and Realtor and some of these other places, you, as an agent, you can actually remove bad reviews. You can't with Google. Google will not let you remove a bad review, even if it's
false,
even if it's a fake review, even if it's from somebody who never worked with you.
And we've had both good and bad.
Yes.
We've had someone put a bad review on Google, which was nothing to do with us. It was actually them complaining about something that their agent didn't do.
But they blamed it on me.
But they blamed it on us.
Yeah.
And we've also had a good review put on there for an agent that
we were not even, they weren't related to us at all. But we can't get Google to take them off. Google refuses to talk to you and refuses to take them off, even when it is a completely like, that agent isn't me. That's not me. So can you, they've never been my client. I've never even talked to this person.
They're not on our team.
They're not on our team. I've never heard of these people before. Google will not remove them. So the good news is it's a very honest, it's a very good look at what people actually are, because you're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I do respond to all my reviews. So the ones that were never our clients, I do put on there. Thank you for that, but I was not your agent, so I have no responsibility. Like, I make it really clear that you're not my client. You weren't my client. You didn't work with me. So, I followed what my client needed and wanted. So the other thing, though, that a lot of people don't realize, here's a question you should be asking when you're going for a listing agent is, what problems have you solved?
Yeah.
And that the reason this is a gold star kind of question is because if they play it off and say that, oh, there aren't any problems, there's no problems in real estate. I've never had any problems. Either A, they're lying, or B, they're brand new.
Or brain dead.
Yeah, or something. Because there's always problems in real estate.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that every transaction has a lot of problems, but every transaction has small and minor and little things that have to be.
But then don't you think a good agent should be looking for those pitfalls before they happen? And
once you have experience, sure.
Yeah.
Once you know to look for them. But when you're a newer agent, when you're only been in the business a year, you don't know all the problems to look for.
You
can get surprised by things. I was when I was first in the industry, when I first started out.
Yeah.
I don't really get surprised by stuff now because I know what to look for. But occasionally there are still problems that aren't my fault and not things that I could foresee or do anything about. There's still problems I have to solve for people.
Yeah.
So when there's a problem that has to be solved, like recently we had one where they were buying my listing. The buyers were working with Russ. They were buying my listing. They were listed with they weren't really listed. They supposedly had a cash offer on their house from one of these, we buy ugly houses type people, which we're going to do a video about that because that experience, you'll love to hear that whole story.
Yeah.
But what happened was, that person pulled out of the deal, and all of a sudden, poof, they still wanted to buy my client's house, but
they
now
had the offer accepted and everything.
Yeah,
but
they had already gotten through inspection, and
Yeah.
now they didn't have an offer on their house, and it was like panic. And we came in, we listed their house for them, got it sold really quickly.
Sold it that weekend
Yep.
at an open house.
At an open house, and for well above asking,
Yes.
and got it sold, got it done, and got it closed in a decent amount of time that the sellers were okay with it.
Yeah.
The sellers actually, though, through that negotiation, it came up that obviously there was a roof that didn't pass. and there was a roof on the house that didn't pass, and we solved that problem through an escrow arrangement.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different problems that come up that can be solved, but as an agent, you have to know how to solve them. And when somebody says to me, well, what's the most recent problem you've solved? I can tell them. I
Yeah.
can tell them about this problem. I can tell them about that problem. I can tell them about the problem that I had when one of the clients last year, the seller was trying to kick out our buyer client from being able to finish their inspection. Like they were being really
Yeah.
obnoxious and horrible because their agent hadn't prepared them right. Well, too bad. I got on the phone and I called their agent and said, you need to talk to your seller and you need to talk to them right now because they're trying to kick our clients out and they haven't finished the inspection because this is a huge house.
Yeah.
And they thought it was supposed to be done in like 2 hours.
Huge house with swimming pool and things
Yeah.
like that.
And they thought it should all be over in 2 hours. And it's like, are you kidding? That's going to take 3 to 4 hours minimum,
Yeah.
unless you have 2 inspectors at the same time. But anyway, so you want to ask me about the problems I've had. I can tell you about the problems, but I should also be able to tell you about the solutions.
Yeah.
Because if I can't tell you about the solutions, what good am I? Because
Yes.
that's what an agent is there for.
Yeah, it's not just about listening to problems. It's
No.
about being able to solve them.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that is exactly why you hire an agent, because when something goes wrong, that's what we're there
Yeah.
for. That's
the
the
agent's
whole
there
point.
to take the stress out of the transaction for you.
Absolutely. And and to have the solutions to the problems that come up. So
Yeah, definitely.
it's definitely, like, I would say that's probably about, not that every transaction has a problem, but I would say 80% of what we do is daily problem solving. This
Yeah.
little problem, that little problem. Some of them are just regular. They happen all the time. They don't seem like problems to us anymore because we're so used to dealing with them. But
Yeah.
that's what they are. Now, let's talk about the red flags.
Oh, yeah. Dun,
So-
dun, dun.
If a listing agent is in your house and they say or do one of these things,
Run.
run. Don't walk, run. Because this is really bad. So thing number 1, they tell you how awesome they are, and that's the only thing they talk about. I sold this many homes. I've sold for this many years. I've da, 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 da. If the massive part of the conversation is I, not here's what I'll do for you. Right. And
Yeah.
obviously I say I when you say here's what I'll do for you. But if it's all about I'm so awesome, I've sold these homes, I've done this, I've done that, and it's all about them, big red flag.
Yeah, they need to know more about you and what your wish list is and how you want to progress.
What your goals are.
Yeah.
If I don't know your goals, how am I supposed to accomplish them? So if they don't ask you questions about what your goals are and what your needs are, then they are, completely pointless.
Not good.
Yeah, not completely pointless to hire them. Number 2, name dropping or boasting about their brokerage. Now, we love the brokerage that we work for.
We do.
But to be honest with you, whatever brokerage that we are at, we're still going to be the same agents that we are. Now, are there certain brokerages who attract better agents than others? Sure. But there can be a great agent no matter what the brokerage is.
Uh-huh.
You can have a really great agent at a crappy brokerage because they're a really great agent.
Yeah.
So if they have to lean on their brokerage for their cred, then it's kind of showing a weakness in them that they can't stand on their own 2 feet and do their services themselves.
And we know great agents at all the brokerages.
Yeah.
So, there are great agents out there at every single brokerage.
Most brokerages.
Most.
There's a couple that are not, but that's because the person in charge of the brokerage is a terrible person. And when you are a terrible person at the top of a brokerage, you're going to attract other terrible agents to you. And,
True.
So you're gonna have a whole collection of terrible agents or sloppy agents or lazy agents, whatever. The leader of an organization does make a difference. But we used to work for one major brokerage here in town, and now we are with Real Broker, which is a national company. And you know what, though? We have not changed who we are and how we treat our clients, anything from when we were there to here. What we've gained from moving brokerages is we gained more money to put into our transactions for our clients.
Yeah.
We now have more money to spend on marketing and to spend on the tools that help our clients' homes to sell.
Definitely. And better training.
And better training. Absolutely. No, 100%. But here's the other red flag. If what they talk about mostly is
Length of time in service.
Oh my goodness.
I've been doing this job for 40 years.
30 years, 20 years. Okay, I just said a minute
Yeah.
ago, we've been doing this for 10 plus years, 10, 12 for me, 9, 10 for you, something like that. But the point is, I don't even keep track of, once I got past 5, I didn't really even keep track that much. And definitely once you get past 10, which I believe you're at 10 this year and I'm over 10. Once you get past 10, the number doesn't really matter because
You've got enough experience there
Yeah.
on how many homes you've sold.
yes, exactly. You've got the experience, and once
Yeah.
you get past 5 years, you've got enough experience. Besides, the vast majority of agents actually quit in years 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
And so anybody who's reached 5, 6, or 7, you're good to go because they've already got they've stuck it out and they've been able to stick it out. Unless, and there's another red flag we're going to talk about, unless the reason they've been in it so long is because of this other red flag. So length of time in real estate is not an indication of whether somebody is good or not. In
No,
fact, I
because
was
some
just...
of them, they think, well, I've never done it like that. I've been in the business 40 years and I've never done that. Yeah, but
So-
the rules changed
from 40 years ago.
and they'd never kept up their training.
Yeah.
Apart from their regular CE, that's all they'd done.
So I recently was on Reddit, and actually there was a woman on Reddit who was desperate to get out of her contract because her agent was just awful, just like an awful, awful agent. And as a result, she was desperate to get out of it and just, oh my goodness, poor woman. I felt so bad for her. And she was trying to ask advice on Reddit. And there were some agents there like myself who were trying to help her without violating the National Association of Realtor rules. But we were able to give her some help. And because of the help that we gave her, she got her contract canceled and she was excited about that.
Oh, she did get out.
She did. She got out of it. Yeah, you hadn't heard about that. No. But one of the things that she told me that the agent had said to her is that they were 4 generations in real estate. Clearly, generation number 4 was horrible because she got terrible, terrible service. They had implemented a price change that they hadn't even put on the MLS 4 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah. They hadn't even advertised anything. They'd only had, in 4 months, they'd only had 1 price drop. And their price drop, listen to this, the house was listed at something like $600,000 and they had dropped the price $5,000. That is not even a drop that makes any impact at all. It
Not
makes
at that price.
no. If you're at 600 and you drop $5,000, you're not.
No.
It makes 0 impact on your sale. You have to drop at least $25,000 to have an impact at that price point.
Definitely, yeah.
Now, if your house is listed for 150 and you drop $5,000, okay, that might make an impact because percentage wise, it's a
Yes.
bigger drop, but not at
At
600,000.
600,000, you'd be looking at,
It's the same price.
25 to 50,000.
Yeah, it's the same price.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a difference. Now, so length of time in real estate doesn't make any difference. And that's a big red flag if that's what somebody is really
that's
leaning
all they're
on.
bragging on.
If they're leaning on that as what makes them good, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the next one. And this one's a little controversial,
Yeah.
but Russ and I are very firm on this in our belief, at least. Part-time when they have another job.
Yeah.
Meaning, if they have to have another job in order to keep themselves in real estate, well, then that's a question you could ask. You can ask, do you work another job? And if they say yes, I'm going to tell you, I don't think you should hire them. It's not because I think that full-time real estate agents are so much better, because there's a lot of full-time real estate agents out there that are pretty crap. But it is extremely difficult to do this job and to do it right because you're not available as often as you need to be. Now, the only exception to this is if you have a job that's flexible. So if their other job is DoorDash or something of that nature, or something where they can be on their phone as much as they want, or, that's their other job, that's one thing. But if they are working a 9-to-5 job in an office and doing real estate on the side, it's really hard for them to help you as a seller. They can't respond to the phone calls that come in on your house. They can't answer. They have to call everybody back later. They can't sit there most likely and being able to text back and forth. That's just not something they'll be able to do. Yeah. So part-time where they have to work another job is a red flag. And this is where I said before about length in real estate, that 5-year rule goes out, because if they're not sustaining themselves with their real estate career for that 5 years, then that whole 5 years goes out the window, because if they have to have another job in order to make enough money, it means they're not doing enough transactions to actually get the experience that they're going to need.
Yeah.
So part-time is, I would never hire somebody to sell my home. If I wasn't an agent, I'd never hire somebody to sell my home that was not full-time in real estate. Just my personal opinion. Yours?
Yeah, same. You
Yeah.
know, I know we've had teams and we've run teams and we've had part-timers on our team that work, but they very rarely got any transactions together, and we were having to cover a lot of that because they were working.
Yeah. And if this person who's part-time is on a team, that's great, but then they should be bringing one of their team members with them that's going to say, okay, well, I work days and you work nights, and so we're going to list this together, and it becomes a team effort.
Yeah.
But if they're coming out there as a solo agent and, you know, and they're only
And
part-time.
you think you're hiring them
Mm-hmm.
and not a team behind them,
Yeah.
then it gets very difficult if they're at work and someone's calling about your house.
Yeah.
They're not available.
Yeah.
And quite often that person will then, well, if I can't get an answer, I can't see this property.
Yep. And I
then
know that
I'll
if there
go
are,
and look at something else.
and I know there are agents out there who, if they see this video, they will vehemently disagree with me.
Yeah.
There are even people who are probably full-time agents who will disagree with me, but for me, this is kind of a deal killer, and I
Yeah.
think it should be for everybody, because this job is a real job. It's not a hobby. It's not something you play at, and it's people's future, and it's the biggest amount of money that you're ever going to spend out is selling your home.
Yeah.
So you really need to have somebody who's dedicated to
I mean,
you.
think about it. Is there any time in the day or night that we haven't, you know, apart
Well, in
from
the night when
after
we're sleeping.
9 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
that we haven't picked up the phone and
Yeah.
spoke to someone about real estate?
I mean, we
And-
limit our hours from 9 to 9. So 9 o'clock p.m., 9 o'clock a.m., we're either asleep, going to sleep, or getting our morning routine in.
Mhm.
But we are available from 9 in the morning until 9 at night.
Yeah,
and-
and I've still been showing houses at 10:30.
Yeah, that has happened occasionally.
Yeah.
Especially in the summertime when it
When
stays
it's
light.
a bit lighter out,
Yeah.
and then writing an offer straight afterwards.
Right,
Because
exactly.
that's the other thing. Are they available to write up offers if they, you know, if they go to?
If you're a listing
if they're
agent,
showing your property.
yeah, if
to
your listing
somebody
agent
else,
showing the property to someone, are they
Yeah.
able to write an offer for that buyer to present to you? Because they need to be able to be available to
or
do
are
that.
they rushing straight off to work afterwards? You know.
Absolutely. And the last thing that's a red flag is yes man.
Oh yeah. You don't want one of those.
No. Because what's the problem with a yes man?
Would they agree to whatever you want, and it may not be in your best interest? So say, for instance, your house, the CMA says it's worth 150,000. We say it's worth 150,000. You say, well, I'm not accepting less than 200,000. Okay, sir, I'll put it on the market for 200,000.
You're going to be on the market for a long time.
It's never going to sell at that price.
Yep. And I will tell you that this happens most often if you live on a busy road or a main
Yeah.
street, because the reason the agent wants that is they are buying your listing with a promise,
Free advertising for them.
because it's free advertising for them, and they can pick up buyers, and they can pick up, and we don't do that.
No.
Our goal is to have our sign in your yard for the least amount of time.
Yep.
We do not think that our sign in your yard is there to build our business. Our sign in your yard is to sell your home, and we want it there for the as least amount of time possible.
Yeah.
That's, to us, that's the most important thing whatsoever.
I love nothing more than putting the sign in the ground and picking it up again a couple of weeks later.
Absolutely.
Because we've sold it.
Yep, absolutely. We want that sign gone from your yard as soon as possible. Now,
Then
we
I
don't
can use it again.
well, we don't take it down before it has to be taken down.
No.
But a yes man, somebody who agrees with you, their sign's going to be in your yard for months. And that's a problem, because I'm assuming that when you're ready to put your home on the market, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
You don't want to be sitting in that house for months and months having showings. I mean, for months. That's awful. That's
Yeah, all
like
that
torture.
disruption. For
It's torture.
Months and months, yeah.
Absolutely. So if somebody is just agreeing with everything you say, that's actually a big red flag. And test it. Say when they give you the CMA and they give you the price they think it is, test that and say, well, I think it should be, and put the price a little bit higher and see what they say. And if you can always just say, okay, I agree with you. That's a good reason to put it. And then you can always go with, if they push back on that and they say, that's a really good test. But an agent who's insecure and doesn't know their stuff and doesn't know strategy and doesn't know marketing.
They would take a listing at any price.
Exactly.
Even though
an agent that's desperate
sell.
will take a listing at any price whatsoever. So definitely something, that's a big red flag to look out for. But I will say,
well, the other big red flag to look out
one more?
for.
Because we didn't have it on the list.
One more.
What's that?
It's the one on our open house signs, because we've always put a big red flag on them.
Well, they're not always red. Some of them are going to be yellow and some of them will be blue. But yes, those red flags are okay if it's on your open house sign. But that's a good red flag, not a red flag that you should run away from. But if you have found any value in this content today, do us a favor.
Click like, subscribe, and don't forget to turn that notification bell on so you don't miss any future content.
Now, I will say, I would love to hear your horror stories, because I think it's really great. If you had an agent who just did a terrible, terrible job, please tell me that story in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Conversely, you like that word, conversely?
Yeah.
Conversely, which means if you've had a great experience with an agent, I want to hear about that. Tell me about the best agent as well. So either the worst agent you've ever worked with to help you sell your house, or the best agent you've ever worked with. Drop those comments in the chat. I cannot wait to see them. I'm so excited. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. But bye for now.
Bye.
Yeah. Here we go.